My name is Yasser. I'm a senior lecturer in pharmacy practice and an advanced specialist pharmacist in secondary care. That means that I work as a specialist pharmacist in a hospital in the UK. Today I want to speak to you about something that's incredibly important to me, and that's the single most effective thing that you can do as a productivity hack to improve your productivity. So currently I work as a lecturer for 2 days a week, and I work within the hospital for 3 days a week. I also run a company called MicroPharm in my spare time, which is a training and education company mainly for trainee pharmacists that are due to sit the GPHC registration assessment in the UK. One of the most difficult things that I find with this is wasting time. So we're all guilty of wasting time within our lives. There are several things that you wish you spent less time on. There could be things like, I wish I spent less time on Instagram, I wish I spent less time on TikTok. And there are several distractions that can reduce the amount of productive tasks that you do in a particular day. So before I get started, the main thing to do is address the definition. What is productivity? What does it mean to be productive to you? I think there's a lot of definitions that you will find out there, but to me and to many other people that like to focus on productivity, it's about doing the tasks that you want to do and not being distracted in that process. Let's say you want to complete an article that you want to write for that particular day, or I have 10 papers to mark and I plan to do that in the day. It's spending your time doing the tasks that you intended to do and not being distracted in the process. That's my simplistic definition of what it means to be productive to me. And if we can focus on that, we can do the things that we actually want to do rather than being distracted in the process. So now that we've got through the definition of what productivity is, the single most destructive thing for productivity for me and for millions of people or billions of people around the world is your phone. Everyone knows how destructive your phone can be when it comes to productivity. So the reason why that's particularly important is you can look at your screen time, and in some cases it will be between 5 to 7 hours. In my case, it's between 5 to 7 hours. How do you ensure the time you're spending on your phone is productive and you can compartmentalize that time to specific slots, meaning you can make sure it doesn't disturb your working day? One of the easiest ways is to put your phone away from you or put it in your pocket. But for many people, that is just not effective enough. If your phone vibrates with a particular notification, you're bound to check that notification. If it's so close to you in terms of proximity, you're bound to check your phone and get more distracted than you usually would. And that's why I purchased this thing right here, which is called a K-Safe. And I want to speak to you about this K-Safe. This video is not sponsored. In fact, I think the K-Safe is far too expensive for the task that it actually does. In other words, I think that they've capitalized on the fact that they've got something in place that prevents other companies from doing it, because you actually won't see many competitors out there. In some cases, you can say that it's far too overpriced, and I completely agree with that. It was very difficult for me to make this purchase, but it's the single most effective thing that I've done in terms of productivity. So let's speak about this device. What is it? So this device right here is called a K-Safe. It used to be called a kitchen safe, but I think because the target audience has changed so much, they no longer want to associate it to a kitchen. So initially, the idea was to put junk snacks in here and lock them away, which personally I find far less of a problem. If you have a problem with consuming junk, then the most effective thing is to not allow it to be within the household. So it actually costs £60. If you're buying a £60 safe to lock up cookies that cost £1, just don't keep the cookies in the house. It's far less expensive. But if you're using this tool as a way to prevent yourself from using your phone, then that £60 I think is worth it in terms of an investment. What you can do is you put your phone in here and you can lock it for either a couple hours or either a few days, and there is no way of you obtaining your phone without breaking this device. So it's a very effective tool to stop you from using your phone. Now, before anyone jumps into doing this, you will hear a whole host of reasons why it's impossible for you to lock your phone away. And everyone has different reasons for this. I will tell you, in most cases, you make excuses for yourself to keep your phone alongside you. And what tends to happen is you tend to get distracted. So let's look at possible reasons that you would want your phone alongside you. One of the most common reasons is the fact that you want to be contactable in case of an emergency. There's a few things you can do to address this, and yes, they might be a bit time consuming in the short term. If you think about it in the long term and they save you 2 hours of wasted time every day, just think of that impact in the long term. So you can keep another phone that is a phone that you can use for emergencies, and you can give that emergency contact to people. In some cases, you can use call forwarding from your initial phone to your other phone, and that way the backup phone that you have can have no social media on it at all. If that's not a problem and you can lock the phone away, if there's certain apps that you need to use a phone for, look at alternatives. So in my case, I can have my iPad without any of the apps that I need. If you don't trust yourself with another device, then look at what it is that you need. So if it's the fact that you keep notes on your phone, for example, transfer those notes to an online platform. If it's the fact that, for example, with me, I need to check my blood glucose levels, I can scan my phone on my Freestyle Libre, and that allows me to know my blood glucose readings. However, there is another way to check my blood glucose readings, and that's by having a reader, an external reader. So this is something that I never used to use very often. I now use it so that I can lock my phone away and I still have access to my blood glucose readings. So it's about ensuring that it has minimal impact on the things that don't waste your time and you need to use. So you plan it accordingly. And then you start to lock your device away for, let's say, 3 hours in the morning, then you have lunch, and then you lock it away for another 4 hours in the afternoon. And of course, as you'd expect, I guarantee you, you will be more productive. You'll be spending less time on your phone, and therefore you will be more productive. What also tends to happen is you start to improve your focus, because in many cases, that distraction of just having your phone alongside you and that constant pinging of a message, of a call, of a WhatsApp message, of a notification from your social media channels, all of that, it starts to get locked away in a box, and you have a greater ability to focus. Of course, you'll get distracted by things like using the internet, for example. You're going to be distracted by other things, but just knowing that it's not the phone that's distracting you, and then you can start to focus on other things that distract you. So one of the most effective tools that I found is locking my phone away. And I'm sure it will be effective for a lot of students out there. It will be effective for a lot of healthcare professionals as well, especially if you've got some side hustles and your phone can tend to be distracting. Sometimes you may use your phone for your business. So ways in which you can address this is by ensuring that you lock it away until a certain time that you need it. So there's plenty of things that you can do. But I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.